No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good afternoon, Winnipeg. Good afternoon, Manitoba. And for all of those joining us live, wherever you're joining us live on the interweb, good afternoon to you and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I'm today's host, Dave Manouk. He's my main man, Ezzy Ginsburg. And
Yo.
the second straight game,
Tough result today.
For the second straight day, we are here to discuss with all of the good folks in the chat another Winnipeg Jets loss. Not one quite as putrid as the 6-3 drubbing at the hands of the New York Islanders yesterday. And in fact, if it wasn't for Charlie Lindgren in the net for the Capitals, it could have been a much better score for the visitors. But the netminder kept them in, much like the Jets netminders keep them in games often. And then the home team scored a couple of goals. And
don't feel sorry for us, Daniel Chatwell, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you. Don't feel sorry for us. We're happy to do this show, rain or shine. So, don't feel I feel sorry for myself, so you don't have to feel sorry for us.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be a cathartic experience. If folks are upset and they want to vent, this is the place to do so. No need to spend hundreds of dollars in therapy. You can just come and vent with Ezzy and I.
That's the spirit, Terry M. Got the comment up for those listening on the pod. We're all great folks in the chat room. We're all suckers for pain and misery. Yeah, that's the thing. The true Jets fans, that's who watches the Illegal Curve post-game show. The true Jets fans win or lose, right? And look, the Jets deserved at least a point in this game, Dave. It was all Jets in the second period. I mean,
they gave up one shot for the first 13, 14, 15 minutes of the game, of the period, Ezzy.
Exactly. And, you got to give Charlie Lindgren a lot of credit, right?
I do. Yeah.
He played very well and he's had a good season for the Capitals. And I believe the Capitals have now passed the Red Wings, Dave, for the final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. And I'll be honest with you, watching that team through the first two periods, I realize it's an afternoon game, but Ovechkin, TJ Oshie, Max Pacioretty, this is a veteran group. They look slow. The Jets were badly outplaying the Capitals. They were badly outskating them. I mean, Lindgren's save on Kyle Connor on that power play, I think that was the second Jets power play. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a A++ save. So Lindgren was unbelievable. I mean, we'll go over it. Nikolai Ehlers, he did about 6 circles in the Capitals zone as birds were flying around Mike McIntyre in the press box. I don't know if we know what type of bird it was, if it was an eagle or a robin or a blue jay, but it was a pretty quiet, effort from the Capitals through the first two periods, and then they obviously erupted in the third. And Kevin Sawyer talked about that with Dan Robertson, right, during the second intermission. He said, the Jets are all over the Capitals, but you find yourself in a situation where the Capitals pop one in on the power play, and all of a sudden you're down a goal, even though you should probably be up 2 or 3 goals, right, Dave? So
right.
I thought this effort was night and day compared to that effort in New York yesterday. I think that the Jets not only deserved a point, they deserved 2 points. They were the better team by far today.
Yeah, well, especially through 40 minutes. And look, that's not something we were able to say for the Winnipeg Jets when we watched yesterday's game, right? The game we watched yesterday, this Jets team did not compete. They did not play with a level of desperation needed. And look, the Jets are a playoff team. We're not questioning that. But right now, the idea, and it's ironic that Pittsburgh now is beating Colorado, or they were beating Colorado 2-0 today, even though Colorado's gone on an 8-game win streak, right? The teams all around the Jets, as I detailed either in my morning papers notes or in the pregame report, Ezzy, they're all winning. The Colorado Avalanche, they're in action right now, but 8 wins in a row. The Dallas Stars, I think they have 4 wins in a row. The Nashville Predators, 5 wins in a row, but more importantly, 17 straight games, 15-0-2 with at least a point for the Nashville Predators. So we've been seeing it in the chat. The Nashville Predators are creeping up on the Winnipeg Jets. And this weekend, the Jets were losing their games in hand advantage that they had on the Stars and the Avalanche. So, I guess with the Avs playing, they'll probably have 1 game on Colorado, I think. But the point I'm making is you had an opportunity to gain some ground. And we're not going to discount the fact, and Ezzy, you touched on it, this Capitals team was desperate, right? They were a desperate team.
Well, and the Islanders were desperate, and the Devils were desperate.
Absolutely.
That was the thing that I was that I was worried about on this road trip. That you obviously had a terrible Columbus team to start it off. You had the best team in the Rangers, so you start off 2-0. It couldn't have gone any better. The Jets played very well in both of those games. And then obviously everything fell apart, right? Like the Islanders game yesterday, I think you would agree, Dave, was by far the worst of the 3 losses on this road trip.
Might have been the worst loss of the year.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that, especially, through the first couple periods, because we talked about it. Scott Arniel mixed up the forward lines. The Jets get a couple goals. So the third period, you get a couple cookies, as we like to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it had no impact on the score. But I think, you mentioned that there's no more games in hand on the Dallas Stars. The Colorado Avalanche have been playing really well over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I still don't think Nashville is going to catch the Jets. I mean, the Jets are going to have to lose a lot of games. And let's be honest here. I mean, Nashville can't. I give all the credit in the world to, Barry Trotz and Andrew Brunette, the coaching staff with the Predators, and the players like Ryan O'Reilly, Roman Josi, UC Saros, Ryan McDonough. They've got a lot of good players there in Philip Forsberg. I could go on and on and on. But I still think the Jets have at least a top 3 spot locked up, but we'll see what happens here, because you've got Edmonton coming up at home, you've got Vegas coming up at home, and then obviously Ottawa is a game in which the Jets should probably win by 3 or 4 goals, but they're going to have to win these games. And I said this, Dave, as we're watching the third period at your house, like the game against Edmonton, in my opinion, is a must-win game. You have to win that game, and I think they will, because if they played like they did this afternoon, they'll beat the Oilers. Even the Oilers, I think, are 6-2-2 or something like that in their last 10. So the Oilers are playing good hockey. They're going to the playoffs, but 2-3 is not a good road trip. And it looked like the Jets were going to go 5-0 on the road trip after the game against the Rangers, but it's not acceptable. I mean, it's just not acceptable at this point in the season. When you're battling for first in the Central, you needed to get at least a point in this game.
Well, and look, we wanted to see what kind of rebound this team would have after yesterday's performance, and they did. They definitely were able to assert themselves in the first and second periods, especially in that second period over the Capitals. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you credit the goaltender, because Charlie Lindgren was excellent. And like I said, when the Jets goaltenders are excellent, you give them credit. But Jason Eastwood, as he brings up a good point, I'm going to highlight it for 1 second. He says, Helly getting overplayed again when there's no need to wear him out. So let's start there in our preamble before we get into the Betway game recap, as we do here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. We thank everyone for joining us, spending your Sunday afternoon here with Ezzy and myself. But we've only got 3 goals to go over, unlike yesterday's 9. So we have a little more luxury of time in our preamble. But I guess the question I have for you is: are you surprised that the Jets went with Connor Hellebuck after the 5-goal effort yesterday? I think he played 29-11. And then, of course, Laurent Brossoit played the remainder of the game. So
not surprised.
The expectation, though, before was that Hellebuck, when we talked about it, is that Brossoit would get the game against the Devils, and then Hellebuck would get the game against the Islanders. And then the prevailing thought was that Brossoit would get today's game.
Right.
Of course, Brossoit gets into yesterday's game, and then Hellebuck gets this game. So just on it, let's start there. What were your thoughts in terms of going back to Connor Hellebuck in today's game?
Not at all surprised, Dave, because Hellebuck only played half the game, right? And I think he faced something like, I'm not sure if you just mentioned there, because I was eyeballing the chat here, looking for some good comments for the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, which we'll do after the commercial break in about 45 or 50 minutes. But I understand why Jason Eastwood's bringing up. By the way, Jason Eastwood, one of the best avatars. He's a musician. Speaking of Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, I think he's a multiple winner. So Jason, we appreciate you joining us again this afternoon. And I know what Jason's talking about, because year after year we talk about this once it gets into the playoffs, right, Dave? We talk about, should Hellebuck be playing less games, because he's kind of been in that 62 to 65 game range the last 6 or 7 years, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised. And look, Hellebuck was excellent. Remember the save he made on Alexei Protas in the first period? And it was a light day for Hellebuck, thankfully, right? As opposed to the Islanders, where he faced 26 or 27 shots in about a period and a half of work. But look, guys, I mean, Hellebuck was not the issue here. And look, I know that the second goal that was originally credited to Connor McMichael but went to Ovechkin, much to the chagrin of Wayne Gretzky. Obviously, I'm joking. because I think Gretzky expects Ovechkin to, break the record at some point, right? But I didn't think I mentioned it. I didn't think Ovechkin really did anything through the first two periods, and then somehow he ends up with 2 goals at the end of the day. So, I mean, I think there's a reason why he's, one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, or the greatest goal scorer of all time. But no, I had no problem with Hellebuck playing, Dave. And as I mentioned, not just because Brossoit played half of the game, but because of what I mentioned to you yesterday after we went off air. Hellebuck always plays well after he has a less than average start, let's say, a bad start. He always responds well. And I thought he responded well, even though he only had how many shots did he end up with? 18 or 19, I think. Like, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
But he was good. So I think there's no doubt in my mind that Hellebuck's going to get the start against Edmonton. He might get the start against Vegas, but you also might go with Brossoit against Vegas because, of course, he used to play for the Golden Knights. So we'll see what happens. But goaltending wasn't the issue today. Lindgren was amazing. The Jets played really well. I mentioned Ehlers. I thought Tyler Toffoli was excellent today. I liked Sean Monahan's game. He was great both on the power play and on the penalty kill. You remember that first penalty kill the Jets had? They didn't allow a shot on net for the Capitals.
Yeah.
Mason Appleton was doing good work out there. Dylan DeMello was doing good work out there. So it's just an unfortunate result. That's the way hockey is sometimes. I have absolutely no problem with the way the Jets played today, but it's just really unfortunate that they couldn't put at least one past Lindgren. We had the comment up earlier. As soon as the first goal went in, you could tell that was demoralizing for the Jets, and I really don't think they recovered after that, Dave.
I think that's a fair point. And then I guess as my follow-up to that, and then we'll get into the Betway game recap, is did you like the idea that Scott Arniel and the coaching staff decided to roll with the exact same lineup because we've been hearing about it, right? Fresh legs. And then Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press, he reported that they wanted to give this group a chance to bounce back. But and again, I'm not laying it at the feet of one person, but do you think that by inserting guys and keeping the lineup fresh, when you have those extras like David Gustafsson, Rasmus Kupari, or Logan Stanley and Colin Miller, do you think that there would have been some sort of incentive to change? And then the second part of that is, do you like the fact that he at least stuck with the lines to start the game? I know he made some changes in throughout the course of the game, but the lines that at least did some damage yesterday in the third period for him, and kind of that line blender that we saw to start in against the Islanders.
Yeah, well, I just mentioned Toffoli, right? Toffoli to start the game was on the third line with Adam Lowry and Nino Niederreiter because you had Appleton up with Scheifele and Ehlers, right? And then you saw some changes. You saw Scheifele, Ehlers, and Connor out there at one point because there was a penalty kill. You saw that line a few times. I don't know how many shifts they had at 5-on-5. I'd have to check, Dave. But I think, I was a little bit surprised. But again, you can see that when Gabe Vilardi is back, if and when Vilardi is back, you can see that Ehlers, Scheifele, Vilardi, a line that was really successful in a very small sample size. You can see, you basically just swap out Appleton and Vilardi. And, a lot of people, would like to see Appleton maybe on the fourth line. I got to be honest, maybe it's just me. I think Appleton's maybe been playing the best hockey of his career right now. I've really liked the way he's been playing on the penalty kill. And it's not an easy task to go up there and play with Scheifele and Ehlers when you've been on the third line for the majority of the season. So I got to take my hat off to Appleton. I don't know if he's having a career year, Dave, or if he's on pace for a career year. But, you're muted right now, Dave. But Appleton,
Sorry, I was just going to say quickly, he scored, he has a career high in goals and points.
There you go. I thought it was a career year, but I wasn't sure because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he just had his career year recently, right? If not last year. But so, look, I think that, Scheifele and Connor clearly have not been clicking as of late at 5-on-5. I got to say 81 was good tonight too. We talked about he was really dangerous on the power play. Lindgren made a A++ save on Connor on the power play. He was looking fast. The Jets were just looking fast. So I liked the makeup of the lines. Cole Perfetti, I thought, had another good game. And again, Dave, I'm not saying that Cole Perfetti should stay in the lineup. What do we have? 11 games left, 12 games left. I think 11 games left now. That was game 71, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Perfetti, in the short term will stay in the lineup. But I've liked David Gustafsson's game too. So I do think that you have something with the makeup of those lines. But as we know, Rick Bowness, once he comes back, he loves going back to Lowry, Niederreiter, and Appleton. But, I think when you have guys like Toffoli and Appleton and Nemesnikov, Nemesnikov had a little bit of a quieter game, I thought, as opposed to, especially the game against the Rangers or even, the Devils. But again, I mean, look, the results speak for themselves. The Jets dominated possession. I think the Capitals only had the puck in the Jet zone for something like a minute and a half. Kevin Sawyer mentioned on the broadcast. So the forward lines, the line combinations were fine today. I thought look, Neil Pionk is struggling. Again, he didn't have a good game against the Islanders. I'm not sure what you do with Pionk, Dave, but I don't know if he can be in the top 4 anymore. I would rather have Nate Schmidt, I think, playing with Brendan Dillon right now. And I'm being completely serious.
Yeah. Well, Nate, even the person who honked you, as he said, that felt the same way. So I'm not sure if you heard that downstairs. I heard it up here, but you're in a different wing of the Maison right now. This, of course, is the
East Wing.
The East Wing. That's right. You're actually in the East Wing. Well done, Ez. So anyways, this is the Illegal Curve post-game show. I'm Dave Minuk. He's Ezzy Ginsburg. We appreciate each and every single one of you joining us here after the Jets and Capitals game and joining us after every single Jets game. We'll be back on Tuesday. But of course, we're not going anywhere. We still got to get into the Betway game recap. So let's get into that as we'll get that started and just wait for Joel's comment to shimmy out of here. And here we go.
The Betway game recap.
The Betway game recap is brought to you, no surprise, by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, Ezzy, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. And as don't forget, you must be 19 years or older to play, and always, please play responsibly.
Can I just mention one thing? Because you know me, Dave. If anybody's been listening to these shows this weekend, I've been talking a lot about Dylan Sandberg. I've been talking a lot about Schmitty. Who had the best even strength Corsi for expected goals on the Jets?
Nate Schmidt.
Number 88.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, when Nate Schmidt came out of the lineup for Colin Miller, I didn't understand it. I didn't think I understood. But I mean, again,
I didn't see this happening, by the way, Dave. I thought Colin Miller was going to be playing more games. I don't know how you take Schmidt out. Like, he's been playing really well. And look, we have just been covering this team for the last 13 years. We're not paid to be on the Jets coaching staff. Rick Bowness, Scott Arniel, Lauer, Marty Johnston. These are good hockey coaches. They know a lot more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any Jets fan or any hockey observer that's been watching this team could say that Neil Pionk's been playing well. And I like Neil Pionk as a person. I like him as a player. I'm just basing this on what I'm seeing. And he is really struggling out there, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's why it's funny that there's this idea that guys are, can never have a night off. And they got maybe there's a benefit, right? You had standings points that you had a little bit of buffer as. And so at the same time, you thought to yourself, okay, well, they can at least allow these guys to heal up, rest up, keep them fresh for that stretch run. But they've chosen not to. And yeah, it just looks like there's something, bothering Neil Pionk. We thought the same thing last year, right? This has been now a couple of seasons where you're expecting him to get back. And for a while there, looked like he could be getting back to that kind of Pionkian level, but he's not there now. And that's a problem for the Jets because depth on the blue line is one of the big question marks for them heading into the playoffs, of course.
And let's not say that the contract is the reason why Pionk is not coming out, because I think there's a chance that Colin Miller could come in for Pionk. I'm not saying it's going to happen, Dave, but why not we talk about load management for Connor Hellebuck. Why can't Pionk have a rest, have a game or two off? They just did that with Dylan Sandberg against, who was it against? Anaheim and Columbus. So why not give Pionk I'm not saying that Pionk shouldn't be in the top 6. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that you maybe put Colin Miller in for a game or two. Give Pionk a couple days off. He comes back refreshed and he plays better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think that it's hard to argue based on what look, Pionk and Dylan had probably their worst game as a tandem yesterday in New York, right? I mean, it's hard to argue. What were they? I mean, they were on for at least 3 or 4 of the goals against of the 6. So it wasn't, and it wasn't like they were on, but they weren't they didn't have an impact where they could have had something. They could have been preventative. They could have, and they didn't. So neither guy was particularly good. But like let's get into it, right? As the first period starts, and one of the things we wanted to see was how are the Jets going to begin this hockey game, and they began it pretty well. And then, I think they had like a 3. I don't know if and maybe the people in the chat can let me know what they think, and as you can let me know what you think. But it's amazing to me watching the shots. Are the shot totals really moving up and down like an inordinate amount of time? Because like at one point it was like
who's in charge of these shot totals?
Well, I don't know, but I'm flipping back and forth between TSN, or if presuming the game's on TSN, and NHL.com, because like you're watching it, it's like 3-0, and you're like, okay, Jets have 3-0, and they take another shot, and you're like, okay, it's 4-0. Then all of a sudden it's like 2-0, then it's 2-1, then it's 3. Like
I noticed that they did take a shot away from the Capitals after the first period. For those of us who were joining us on yesterday afternoon's post-game show, they did originally credit the Jets 6 shots, 5 or 6 shots after the first period. And then they actually took away 2 or 3. We couldn't really figure out.
3.
It was 3 because at one point the shots were 21-3, right? For the Islanders, something like that, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because it was almost a polar opposite. The Jets were badly out shooting. It was 21-10, I think, at one point
11,
for the Jets. 21-11 for the Jets over the Capitals at a certain point in the second period. So obviously, Corsi is dead. Shout out to our boy Garrett Hole. That's a little inside joke we have. Just for those people that don't love analytics, and you don't have to love analytics, but let's be honest, it's such a crucial part of analysis of hockey, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why, Dave, they keep the shot totals up the whole game, right? It's not because they're required to do so. It's actually, as an aside, it actually drives me crazy when they don't have the shot totals up.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's almost like you have no idea what's going on in the game, especially a scoreless game, right? If it's scoreless with no shot totals, you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, you're like, are there no shots? Are there no goals? Is it completely scoreless? 0-0. There's still a score, just no goals have been scored. Anyways, the Jets, though, to that idea, had a good start, right? I think it was Nikolai Ehlers setting up Mason Appleton on the 2-on-1 early. And that's kind of when you got a sense that Charlie Lindgren was going to be dialed in, and he was looking.
He made a really nice blocker save on Appleton.
Makes a nice blocker save on Appleton. And then to his credit, Connor Hellebuck was called on to make another number of nice saves because the Jets defense as a team, collective defense, there were lapses, and the Capitals got in behind the Jets, creating opportunities, and Connor Hellebuck was good. So even though, again, it wasn't a banner game by Hellebuck, I mean, shots were 9-8 in favor of Winnipeg after 20 minutes, but both teams, I would say, as he had good chances. And I'm just bringing up the numbers right now, but like it seemed to me that the high danger chances were probably pretty even in that first period.
They were,
because,
they were the period. It was an even period. I would give the Jets a little bit of an edge. I just thought they controlled the play a little bit more. Yeah, and I think it was 5-3 if I'm not mistaken.
It was 5-3. Yeah. It was 5-3, but
yeah. That's fairly even when you compare it to the game yesterday against the Islanders.
Exactly.
It was a little heavily favored for the Islanders, but yeah, I mean, Alexei Protas, that was the save that I remember. Hellebuck made a really solid save there, pad save, and yeah, Spency's got the greatest quote of all time up there from Wayne Gretzky.
But he's slightly modified it.
Yeah, he's modified it, but you miss 100% of the shots; they don't tally. For those listening on the podcast, because we always like to. Whenever we reference a comment, it doesn't really help the people on the podcast. So shout out to the people listening on the podcast, which is weird to say because that would be in the future, right? But regardless, we like to read those comments. Joe from Winnipeg's always got great comments. But yeah, Dave, it was a pretty even first period. Maybe you give the Jets an edge. And it was the second period where obviously, they took over. But going back to that chance by Appleton, like Mikey McIntyre made the point on Twitter. I thought Morrissey, I mean, look, you've said this before, like we are spoiled watching Josh Morrissey. I'm not sure, if he's even, top 5 in Norris Trophy voting at the end of the year. I think he should be. He's an extra forward out there.
Yeah.
And the way he spins and he holds onto the puck, he's just incredible. So it was a great, great outlet pass from Morrissey on that particular play. And Scheifele, Appleton, and Ehlers were really connected out there, played really well. And it's unfortunate that they weren't able to, capitalize at all, because, these were really good scoring chances. And, if you score an early goal in the first period, we know the Jets' record when they score first. And, again, we talked about what did they have? 2 power plays only in this game, I believe, or 3 power plays, I forget. But
they had 2 in the second period.
Yeah,
I know they for sure had 2 in the second period.
Yeah, they only had 2. I wasn't sure I forgot if they had one in the third, but the power play looked good in the second period. I want to say they had 4 or 5 shots on those 2 power plays.
Well, and
so
again,
the power play was fine. Look, sometimes you have to just say, Dave, the only thing you didn't do is score goals. And I realize a lot of people are mentioning that, at the end of the day, like analytics, who cares if you don't put any goals up on the board? But sometimes you have to just say that the Jets got goalied a little bit in this game.
Well, I don't think there's any question. I mean, look, in the second period, the Jets had given up 1 shot through 13 minutes. And sure, they had the benefit of 2 power plays, and there's no question that I actually thought the movement was good on the power play. I thought there were a number of opportunities created that you're like, okay, well, there's a great chance Lindgren makes a save. So like, these guys are professionals. It's not like this guy is a guy coming out of the Highlander League and he's thrown into net for the Washington Capitals. I mean, and again, this is a desperate Capitals team. So you credit the Jets. Like, look, obviously at the end of the day, like we talked about with Frank yesterday, you are what your record says you are. And much to the chagrin of the folks who are apoplectic right now with Winnipeg, the Jets are still, a top 3 team in
Bells agrees with me. As long as Brent Bellamy's agreeing with me, and then I know that, I'm having a good post-game show.
Well, and then you're going to be joining him at Portage and Maine, opening it up, right, Ezzy?
Oh, absolutely. I think, for those who don't know, Brent does an excellent work. He's an architect. He does an awesome job with his columns with the Winnipeg Free Press, and I think Brent has been all over it. I mean, it's long overdue that we open up Portage and Maine to pedestrian traffic. That's for sure.
Well, anyways, but this isn't the we're not talking. What would our show be if we?
This is an architect lunch.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't want to get Spency upset with us. So, look, the Jets had opportunities. I guess that's what we would say. In the second period, they had opportunities to score. Charlie Lindgren was excellent. And I think that the Jets will be off tomorrow. They're going to need it because they're going to need to be rested when they take on Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman.
That's a great idea, by the way, from Brent to host IC from Portage and Maine. I would be 100% in for that. I'm not sure if Drew would be because, he doesn't really like to go outside. He's an old curmudgeon. He likes to stay inside, as you know, Drew. As you know, Dave, he's like a bat, right?
Yes. Yeah. Drew's whatever, look, Drew's not here. Let's not talk about Drew. Let's keep the show clean. We want to focus on positive. Well, maybe not positive, especially as we get into the third period for the Jets and their record, but ultimately, and a little reporting for the Moose. The Moose lost 5-2 today to the Abbotsford Canucks. So they came out strong, much like the Jets, weren't able to sustain it. Well, we'll get into that after the commercial break on the Minuk Moose Minute. Although I was here, so I wasn't present. The next series is against the Toronto Marlies. We've got some more tickets for that to give away, but you don't score. You don't take advantage of your opportunities. So you credit Charlie Lindgren for playing well, but the Jets, I mean, again, like I said, Ezzy, I think there were missed opportunities from this team in that second period, but big shot advantage. They control the puck, control the play. They outshoot the Capitals 11-3, and then we head to the third period. And
hold on, though. Can we just go back to a couple of specific? And sorry, I want to go back to that second period for a second because what did we say the shots were, Dave? 12-2, 13-1. There you go, 11-3.
13 minutes in, they had given up 1 shot.
Okay, so have we even talked about the Sean Monahan shot off the crossbar?
No,
I mean that's what we're talking about. And again, we had the comment up from Andrew Haleko, aka Centra Tech CEO. We always have to mention his alias, right?
Yeah.
Watch BitCon if you haven't on Netflix, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Maybe Andrew, I should start getting paid by Netflix for all these references to BitCon. Maybe I'll get $5 or $7 or something from Netflix, half off of the monthly subscription. But Monahan, if you remember, Dave had that deflection. I forgot who shot it. If it was Dylan or Pionk, I feel like they were out there. And Lindgren made a save, and he didn't even know that he made the save. Mm-hmm. And then that was before he hit the crossbar. And that was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was when Morrissey spun around, and that was the outlet pass to Monahan, and it was a 2-on-1, right? So, like, The Jets are an inch from scoring a goal. You
Yep.
could have had a couple goals at least in the second period, if not 3 or 4 goals.
For sure.
And then it's a completely different game. So, I mean, this stuff does matter, right? Like, that's why we do the post-game show. If it was just, the Jets badly outshot the Capitals and, they couldn't score and the Capitals won, it would be a pretty short post-game show. And I don't think a lot of people would tune in.
Well, we appreciate each and every one of you.
Appreciate that, Mr. Haleko.
Tuning into the Illegal Curve post-game show. We do this each and every game, win, lose, or I see Drew. Although I see,
I'm not sure what Rudy. I appreciate the comment. I'm not sure what he means by there's no consequences for poor performance.
I think what he's saying is
he didn't get any points.
Well, yeah, I think
that's the consequence, right? And I think look, the Jets needed a much better effort than they had in Brooklyn, right? Or Belmont. Do they play in Brooklyn? I thought they were. In Brooklyn.
It's in Elmont.
They were playing in Brooklyn.
Belmont or Elmont, whatever
Elmont.
it is. I think it's called Belmont
Long
Park.
Island.
It's Belmont Park in Elmont, New York.
Okay, there you go. So why isn't it called Elmont Park?
Because I think Belmont is a throwback to the old, the racetrack.
Okay, so let me try that again. The Jets had a much better effort in Washington, D.C. Your American geography is much better than mine, Dave. You used to live in the U.S. Even though I've visited quite a few American cities in my time, many of them with you. Yes. But the Jets' effort today was so much better. So, yes, you got to be super disappointed that you didn't get at least a point.
Right.
But how many times has Connor Hellebuyck done that to other teams, right? Like, you could argue the Rangers should have had at least a point against the Jets with how many saves Hellebuyck had. What did he have, 40 or 41 saves against the Rangers, something like that? Yeah. So, I mean, the Jets played well. Scheifele's hat trick, I think had a lot to do with that.
Yep.
But, I mean, if they play even 75% of the way they played this afternoon against the Capitals, I think they'll beat the Oilers at home.
Well, and again, I think it's more about habits, and we'll get into the third period in a second, Ezzy, but I just want to make this point. I think that everybody is seeing the result, and that's obviously it's not good. You'd rather win a hockey game than lose them. You'd rather gain position than fall back. But like I said, I've looked. I haven't looked at. Sorry, Terry M's asking me what channel is the fireplace on. Good question, Terry M. Oh no, this is YouTube. That's what it is. There's
also an aquarium channel now on Shaw.
There is, yeah. There's a fireplace channel and an aquarium. I'm on Shaw, but this is, I believe, a YouTube one. So
actually, Dave, you'll like this. Naomi picked up a fish for the kids yesterday, and
really?
They named him Rocky. I'm not sure what type of fish it is, and I'm not sure if it's going to live longer than 3 or 4 days.
Sure.
Because Ruben, I think, is overfeeding it.
Be careful.
We have a fifth member of the Ginsburg household. We have a little beta fish to go with the beta male in the home.
There you go. Yeah, I was going to say a beta male and a beta fish. Well done, Ezzy. Although now you've completely derailed my thought. What was I just saying? Process.
That's really my role on the show, Dave. So if I'm not doing that, I don't really know what I'm doing. So
no, but I again, like I said, I remember being curious about the stat. How important are the final 10 games of a team's season in order to win a Stanley Cup? And what I found was that it was actually quite interestingly all over the place. Some teams, like I remember the 2013 Kings, I think they were a little bit slow, I think, or they didn't have a great record going in their final 10. Some teams are hot. I guess what I'm saying is it didn't really seem to make much of a difference. It didn't matter if you were the hottest team or not the hottest team. Teams that won the Stanley Cup, again, it's a war you have to go through. And I shouldn't have probably used that term, but it's a battle that you have to go through each night. And, this leads up to it. And you want to see that the process, I guess, is the point I'm ultimately trying to make in a kind of roundabout way, is that the process is right and it's getting better. And look, there's a big question mark with respect to Gabriel Velarde. I suspect maybe we'll get an update on Tuesday because it's been a little while, obviously, with the Jets on the road. So maybe we'll see what happens there. But, like I said, I just wonder whether you see a little bit more from this team. And again, they're going to have to dig deep because it's a, like you said, as you don't have an easy road. You've got Edmonton, who aren't happy with their loss against the Leafs last night. You got Vegas, who hasn't been playing particularly well and knows that they need to keep winning. And the Senators, well, I mean, they're happy to kick you while you're down. If you're not doing well, you think they're not going to come in and lay down and say, sure, beat up on us.
Well,
you're going to have to do with
Brady Tkachuk's half Manitoban, right? So you know that he wants to play well in front of the Jets crowd.
Exactly. But the point I was making is that that these guys are like going to Ottawa. You're the Jets. You have to do to Ottawa what you did to Anaheim and what you did to Columbus. You have to show that you can control those types of games because, again, like I said, I would never, even though these are non-play, like think about it. Ottawa's a non-playoff team. Columbus is a non-playoff team. Anaheim's a non-playoff team. So are the three teams that the Jets just played. But do you put those in the same category? Of course not. That's why it's too simplistic to put it that way. Anyways, let's keep it rolling, Ezzy, here on this Illegal Curve post-game show. And make sure, by the way, folks, while you're watching us, smash that like button. That helps us out. That we appreciate that. So make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe. So with Mark Scheifele in the penalty box at the end of the second period, Ezzy, the Capitals start the third on the power play, and it is John Carlson, a guy who knows a thing or two about putting the puck in the back of the net. He gets things going. He scores courtesy of a Max Pacioretty assist, and TJ Oshie, who was being celebrated in his 1,000th or for playing his 1,000th game.
Yep. They had Pride of War Road, Dave.
Just down. Well, he basically
hop, skip, and a jump from us here in Winnipeg.
And it's kind of almost like he's from Winnipeg because every guy on this team seems to wear War Road, his brand, his hockey brand.
Yeah.
So I mean, look,
he's a beauty. I've always liked Oshie. Remember, he used to play for the St. Louis Blues. I think people forget that he used to play for the Blues because he's been on the Capitals. But you know what always stands up to me about Oshie, Dave? I think I know what you're going to say. After they won the Stanley Cup, remember what he said about his dad?
Yes.
That always stands out for me with Oshie. Like, how could you not get teary-eyed, even if you were a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights?
No,
so that 2008, was it 2018? Yeah, it was the 2018 because that was the Jets run.
Yeah.
Oshie's a beauty. And who could forget all those shootout goals, right?
Well, for sure. And he went to UND, did he not? I think
yes.
He was the UND guy. So I mean, our boy Brad Schlossman would know. But look, on this instance, Ezzy, in this power PK, the Jets have opportunity to clear it. They don't, and then they're kind of dancing around, and nobody is really like clogging a zone or clogging a lane, I should say. And ultimately, the puck gets back to John Carlson, and he blasts it home. But I don't know. Like I said, it's failed opportunities, right? So you now down 1-0. The Capitals, who really haven't been in the hockey game for 40 minutes, are suddenly, in the lead. And it's a power play goal, but it's still tough for the Jets, for their, psyche based on how they've played the last few games to find themselves down 1-0.
Yeah. And, you mentioned, Sean Monahan's the center, obviously, who's penalty killing. I thought Monahan was great, even though the Capitals score on this power play. The first power play I mentioned, he did incredible work. I'm pretty sure he was out there to start. And was it not Monahan and Appleton, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah. And they killed the first 30 or 40 seconds of that first Capitals penalty. And so Oshie's there in the bumper spot. And Dylan Sandberg and Neil Pionk are the speaking of Minnesota, are the different two defensemen back for the Jets. And they kind of just, they bobble the puck a little bit. But Oshie makes a really smart between the legs pass to Pacioretty, who's at the face-off circle, and then Pacioretty gets it back to Carlson for the blast. Look, that was such a demoralizing goal. We already talked about it. When you're badly outplaying a team like the Jets did in the second period, but then you take that penalty, and I realized Kevin Sawyer was talking about the penalty to Scheifele, and it was a little bit of a weak call. But I mean, what difference does it make? If we analyze that now, right, Dave? The game's over. Scheifele took the penalty, and you could see Scheifele was frustrated. It was a slashing penalty on Abe Kubel. Sure, I would agree with Kevin Sawyer, by the way. I didn't think it was on the weaker side of a penalty call, but there weren't a lot of penalties called in this game, right?
No.
And the Jets did kill off the first one, as we talked about. But I mean, this is just kind of the Jets not really, controlling the puck, getting a hold of it, and then Oshie just making a short area little pass to Pacioretty, and then Carlson having the blast. As you mentioned, Carlson's been doing this a long time in the NHL. But again, I mean, it's just unfortunate that the Jets couldn't get one past Lindgren in the second period, and then they find themselves down 1-0 early in the third.
And it was not just going to be 1-0 early in the third. It was going to be 2-0. Alex Ovechkin, you've heard of him once or twice before. He knows how to score a goal or two or 800. But Alex Ovechkin's chase for Wayne Gretzky continues. And let's be real, as about one thing. He loves playing the Atlanta Thrashers / Winnipeg Jets organization. The Jets fans will remember when they first came into the league, being part of the Southeast Division and the Capitals seemingly crushing the Jets, especially wasn't it?
Remember those 6 o'clock starts, Dave, back in 2011, 2012, 2013? Remember we used to have to go directly from work.
Yeah.
And then the game, it's like we showed up, we got there at like 5:30, 5:40, and then the game started. I definitely don't miss that. I much prefer the 7 o'clock starts.
Yes, absolutely. And folks will remember that kind of strange it was a home where both games were in Winnipeg. You remember that, they played I think it was 2012 where they played the Capitals on a Wednesday and then again on a Friday. And if they would have won those games, they probably would have made the playoffs. Instead, they fall short. But that was the Alex Ovechkin Capitals. And they were doing them to the Jets for the whole time that they were in that Southeast Division. But
sorry to pivot here, Dave.
Sure.
And I'll go back to you, but I'm not sure if you're keeping an eye on this Pittsburgh-Colorado game. Pittsburgh was up 4-0 on Colorado. It's 4-3 now in the third period.
How much time is left?
I
saw the chat.
Lots of time left. There's 15 minutes left in the third.
Well, that's going to be a 7-4 final for the Avalanche as they win most likely their 9th game of the season. But look, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances here for the Jets because you've just given up the first goal. Now it's a power play goal. So it's not great, but it's not the end of the world, not a 5-on-5 goal. But here's one where, you're in your zone, you're taking the face off, and you've got essentially like Nate Schmidt and Dylan Sandberg both go to Oshie.
Yeah.
And so they've got two guys there, which leaves Alex Ovechkin wide open. And to me, like it's a miscommunication on your defense because both guys are taking one, which doing the math, if two take one, that leaves one free. And that one happens to be Alex Ovechkin. So he and McMichael take the shot, but Alex Ovechkin ultimately gets credit for it. But that was, again, it was just a mistake, a defensive mistake by the Jets to leave that guy Alex Ovechkin open, and it ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah, we were talking about this after the goal was scored. It was a weird goal in the sense that it's right off of a face-off, and Connor McMichael goes to shoot it, but then Alex Ovechkin, it was almost like a minor hockey league goal when you have, 2 or 3 players all trying to shoot the puck at the same time, right? But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That was not good defending by Sandberg and Schmidt because nobody was where the puck was, right? And, Alex Ovechkin, even though he didn't do much through the first 2 periods, he certainly had an impact in the third period. But yeah, and I mean, Connor Hellebuck, you could say, should have had that goal. Like, it was a little weak. It was just a little bit of a dribbler that went through his legs, right, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, certainly, Adam Lowry, he's down on the ice. Someone needs to go to where the puck is.
That's right.
And Sandberg and Schmidt don't do that. And I thought Sandberg and Schmidt, for the most part, had a really good, strong game. And yeah, you're right. Oshie does provide a bit of a pick there on Nate Schmidt. But, just again, you're down 2-0 in a game in which you've controlled the play for most of it. And I hate to be that guy, but look, Dave, at least I'm consistent. When the Jets win games, when they don't play really well, I'm all about kind of the yin and the yang. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like hockey, there's a lot of luck in hockey. People don't want to admit it, but there is a lot of luck in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why, advanced stats don't tell you what the score of the game is, right? It tells you who should win the game. We always talk about expected goals, right? Well, the expected goals were heavily in the Jets' favor in this game, and they didn't get any. So, yes, you're right. I mean, just not good defensive coverage off of a face-off lost by Adam Lowry to Connor McMichael. And unfortunately, Connor Hellebuck can't come up with the save, and the Jets are down 2-0. And, essentially the game is done at that point because Lindgren was not letting any goals in today, apparently.
No, he wasn't. And look, again, it's a breakdown of a lot of guys, right? Like Lowry goes down, tries to take out McMichael, but McMichael goes forward. So Lowry's out of the play. Niederreiter takes himself out. So a lot of guys didn't do the right thing in that instance, right? And including Connor Hellebuck. And yeah, you definitely think you're hoping he can, if you're a Jets fan, squeeze the door shut on that and keep them in like he's done so much for them. But he's unable to do so. And now it's 2-0. And look, 2-0 early in the third period. You're thinking, all right, the Jets have played pretty well this game. Is there a chance they're going to come back? Well, once with 8 minutes to go, Alex Ovechkin scored his second of the game, 26th of the season, assist to Dylan Strome and TJ Oshie. Well, at that point, it was, I felt at 2-0, it was most likely, but not 100%. 3-0 is, may as well go to runtime. It was over, Ezzy. And so Alex Ovechkin gets his third. And I guess this is one of those plays again. I think it was against the Lowry line.
Hold on a second, Dave. Hold on. I got you here.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Thank you. We
have no Jets goals to give the Seagram shot of the game to, so we might as well give it to Ovechkin as he inches closer to Gretzky's goal scoring record.
Well, we could have given it to a couple of the Moose. The Moose, Nikita Chibrikov scored. Who else scored for the Moose? Who got the other goal, Ezzy?
I have no idea. I wasn't following the Moose game.
I'm blanking. Nikita Chibrikov scored, and
Brad Lambert, Axel Janssen-Fjällby.
Axel Janssen-Fjällby. Axel Janssen-Fjällby. There you go. So it could have given it to one of them, but although Axel Janssen-Fjällby's goal wasn't great, but ultimately, hey, we're talking about the Jets. We'll get into the Moose after this, after the commercial break. But look, this is another example of kind of sloppy defense from the Jets because, like I said, you're not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination, but a good transition from the Capitals, right? Lowry and Niederreiter are coming off, so it's not the best line change. And then they get Alex. By the way, you let Alex Ovechkin get in behind him, the defense, and Dylan Sandberg and Nate Schmidt are caught going one way, and they pass it across to the other side. And Alex Ovechkin makes no mistake. So suddenly now the Jets overcommit to the right, leaves the left open, and Alex Ovechkin deposits it in behind Connor Hellebuck. Guess what? 3-0, and this one's over.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I kind of thought the game was over after the 2-0 goal. But the thing is, with the way the Jets were playing, Dave, 2 goals, you're thinking, they could come back and tie this and possibly win it. They're not going to do that down 3 goals. And,
no,
this was actually, a much nicer goal from Ovechkin. This is what you kind of are used to seeing, speed burst comes in, puts a nice little deke on Hellebuck. But you're absolutely right, Dave. You said overcommitted. And I just thought, it wasn't a really good line change, like you said.
Yeah.
And, Ovechkin comes in uncontested, and Sandberg's just too late there. It's the way Sandberg has to come back there. It's just too hard for him to really make a play on Ovechkin with the speed burst that Ovechkin had, right? So, again, I think, this game, even though you don't win a hockey game based on how well you played after 40 minutes, especially when you don't bury any past Charlie Lindgren, I think, the effort and the scoring chances that the Jets generated were clearly much better than yesterday afternoon against the Islanders, right, Dave? So,
yeah,
the Jets have to bounce back here, and they have to have a strong homestand. I think, is it a 4-game homestand or a 5-game homestand? I think it's a 4-game homestand, if I'm not mistaken. But you have to beat the Oilers starting off that homestand, and you have to continue it, against the Golden Knights and against the Senators. And I'm forgetting who the 4th game was against, Dave. Maybe you can bail me out
Ottawa.
Here. But that's the 3rd game.
You play Oilers, Golden Knights, Senators, Kings.
There you go, the Kings. So it's
you're right.
Pierre-Luc Dubois revenge game.
It is a 5-gamer. The Calgary Flames on the Thursday.
There you go. So you've got a really crucial 5-game homestand. Here, let me check if the Avalanche have tied it up here. I don't think they have.
Someone will say in the chat.
Hold on. Loading here, Dave. Buffering, loading. The internet's a little bit slow here in River Heights. I can't see if the Avalanche have scored. Hold on. It's whatever. It's 4-3, I think, for Pittsburgh. But the point is that the Avalanche are streaking right now.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the show during our preamble, 8 wins in a row for Colorado, 4 wins in a row for Dallas, and 5 wins in a row for Nashville. Jets, unfortunately for them, 3 losses in a row. So an inopportune time for the NHL club of Winnipeg to be on a losing skid. We'll see if they can turn things around, as he said, on this 5-game homestand. Well, that concludes the Betway game recap. The Betway game recap is brought to you, not surprisingly, by Betway. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway, Ezzy. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. And always, please play responsibly. Big thanks to JC, who told us there's 11:57 left. 4-3 is the score for the Avs.
The Pens could really help out the Jets here, Dave.
They could really help out the Jets. I'm sure that's what they're thinking about. And I know what all you're thinking about is let's see some of those IC commercials. And then when we come back, We'll get quick one to Dallas. Dallas is asking if we've got another Jets game left this season at BP, our sponsors at Boston Pizza. Not during the regular season, Dallas, but our expectation is the first away Jets playoff game will be a BP game. So once we know that date, which won't be for a while, we'll let all of you know, of course. And reminder, if you want IC merch, about a week to go before you can, you have to order that. So go on illegalcurve.com. There's the merch button. And I'm going to tie this in, Ezzy, to Tough Duck, because Louis, who I inappropriately called Lewis, emailed our merch guy thinking that he had to email the merch guy because he won the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
No.
And he emailed our merch guy. So I'm going to send you.
No, Louis, I'm the Tough Duck guy. You email me, I hook you up with the Tough Duck merch.
Well, I mean, I don't blame him. He wanted an IC too. That was a well played move by Louis. But you're going to win a Tough Duck too from our friends at Tough Duck. Anyways, let's head to commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll do some. What are we going to do? Well, we'll do the hardest hitting comment from our friends at Tough Duck. We'll do a Manuk Moves Minute. We're going to do lots. We're not going to do too much though because it's been a long weekend of shows. Okay, let's go to commercial break and hear from our sponsors right now.
BP's new New York Sicilian Square Footers. With a thicker crust than ever before, they're light and airy on the inside and oh so crispy on the outside. You're gonna have your work cut out for you.
Okay, fine.
Try the New York Sicilian Square Footers, only at Boston Pizza.
You guys ever wish for a game changer in life?
Like finding out your favorite snack has 0 calories?
Or discovering the mute button on Ezzy?
Picture this, a secret weapon for parking, where you can book a spot a whole month in advance.
Tell me more, Drew.
Pre-book your parking at really low rates, or maybe even for free if you use the code illegalcurve.
Free? What is this, sorcery?
The Grid Park app. It's a real secret weapon that has affordable game day parking, and to sweeten the deal even more,
I love sweets.
our listeners can use the code illegalcurve to park for free.
Holy Zamboni.
Tell me about it. Just download Grid Park, GRYD Park, and use the code illegalcurve, all one word, to park for free.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job. Presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I'm Dave Manuk. He's Ezzy Ginsburg. We're here chatting with you following the Jets and Capitals game, resulting in a 3-0 loss for Winnipeg. to Washington to conclude their 2-game season set. Of course, reminder, we do this after every single Jets game. We'll be doing this during the playoffs. Of course, the Moose also will be doing, we won't be doing post-game
Playoffs.
shows, but we'll be doing shows nonetheless. And we'll, of course, have
EP Taylor, we're going to be back. Hopefully it's going to be game 3.
Yes.
If you missed it, we're going to be doing the first away game. So it could be game 1, but we're hoping it's going to be game 3. So we'll be at BP Taylor for the playoffs. And we're expecting everybody to be wearing white, right, Dave?
That's exactly the case, Ezzy. That is exactly the case. So reminder, if you aren't already, make sure you are subscribing to our channel. Obviously, always go to illegalcurve.com for all the latest Winnipeg Jets and Manitoba Moose news. And make sure you drop a comment, drop a like, do whatever you got to do. And like I always ask, if you can, we appreciate it. Throw a comment on the podcast. You know, someone recently said they like our show, don't like some of Drew's political takes. And trust me, neither do I. But regardless,
do we have political takes? I don't think
I have none. I keep myself. I keep the show strictly about hockey.
Talking about hockey here. There's no politics in hockey.
That's exactly it.
Or I should say there shouldn't be any politics in hockey.
Well, I agree with you. So that's why
we're all about just having a good time, right? Be fair to each other, treat each other well. And
except for Drew.
A tough duck hardest hitting comment, Duke.
Except for Drew, as we treat Drew poorly, but that's kind of our thing. That's what we do here on Illegal Curve. Speaking of tough duck and hardest hitting comments, do you have one for me? And if
I sure do.
All right, well, let's cue that up. Let's get that ready because people want to know. It's still cold out in Winnipeg. I think it said it felt like minus 17 today. So we got to have someone win one of these.
The tough duck hardest hitting comment.
Dave M., we're going to give it to 10A City today. I like this comment. I'm not sure what 10A City means, but like this comment from them. The next must-win game will be when playing in the playoffs. I would love to see an end result win, caps lock, every game. But the reality of now is it does not matter, nor does it matter where they finish. You know what? I look, everybody agrees it's preferable for the Jets to finish first in the Central so they avoid playing Dallas or Colorado in the first round. But at the end of the day, just get in. And, you know, whether it's second in the division, first or third in the division, I don't believe Nashville is going to usurp the Winnipeg Jets for third place in the Central Division. But if they keep winning and the Jets keep losing, it could happen. But I do think the Jets are going to beat the Oilers on Tuesday night at home, Dave. I'm not going to give it the Ginsburg guarantee, but 10A City, I like it. I mean, that it's kind of like he's being brutally honest here. As we know, every single year, the regular season, once the playoffs start, means nothing. So I just like that comment from 10A City. It wasn't necessarily to do with this game specifically, but I think what 10A City is trying to say is, you know, don't get too concerned with these 3 losses by the Jets because we know that they're going to make the playoffs. They haven't clinched yet, but they're going to clinch in the next couple of weeks. So 10A City, send me an email, Ezra, EZRA, at illegalcurve.com. Not sure why I spelled my name. I think most people know how to spell my name, but
no, because some people call you Izzy.
Yeah, that's true. So you can slide into my DMs on X as well at ICSEG. Send me your mailing info, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you. Owen is Owen. Won a toque yesterday, so we're going to ship out a toque to Owen.
Louis, we got to give Louis.
Louis Batista's going to get his toque.
Although tell Louis right now, Ezzy. Although I haven't seen Louis in today's chat, but Louis, just so you know, you got to email Ezzy.
Yeah,
he just gave you the info. And or as Rob Mahoney saying, Izzy Ginsburg. But if you email Ezzy, send him your address, and then that way Ezzy can get your info to Tough Duck, and then get yourself a Tough Duck too.
Absolutely, and we're gonna switch to trucker hats like we did last year. Once the playoffs start, it's trucker hat season. That's what we do. Tough Duck is a very gracious sponsor, and they're going to provide us with trucker hats. For the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment once the playoffs start. Spency is he could call me Izzy or Dizzy. We have 10 trucker hats ready to go for Spency.
There we go. That's exciting stuff. And I was just going to say, you know, we're like the pragmatic hockey show. You know, the idea is, or the measured hockey show. This is not a hyperbolic, except for if Mindell gets going, then there's a little hyperbole. But the fact is,
especially when he's hoisting the petard.
Exactly, or when he's hoisted by his own petard. But the point I'm making is that I think we said this when the Jets beat the Rangers and when the Jets have beaten some other teams, you don't get too high. And then when they lose, you don't get too low. And the truth is somewhere in between. And so this Jets team is somewhere in between. Right now, they're on a bit of a losing streak. One team that's in and out of streaks right now, Ezzy, is the AHL club of Manitoba, because they've won one, lost one, won one, lost one on this current 6-game homestand through 4 games, which means, what am I queuing up? Waiting for it.
The Manuka
Waiting.
minute.
Waiting.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
There you go. The Moose.
Sorry, Dave. I wasn't quick John McGraw there.
That's okay. The Moose were in action, and the Moose were actually quick off the start. Unfortunately, they did not get great goaltending today in the contest. Only 2 changes in their rematch with the Abbotsford Canucks, a team that, even though the score was only 3-2 yesterday, they thoroughly dominated. I didn't get a chance to finish it because, of course, the Jets game ended before, and our post-game show ended before the Moose game but the Moose outshot the Canucks 45-12 yesterday. So Manitoba was flying. You got to credit the Canucks netminder. He was excellent in the loss. But in today's game, only 2 changes for Manitoba. Carson Golder came out, and Daniel Torgerson, the 2020 second rounder of the Jets, he came back in, and Colin Delia got the net over Thomas Milic, who's I think he'd made 7 or 8 straight starts. So wasn't surprised that Colin Delia got the start. Didn't give up a great first goal, I think on the 3rd shot by Abbotsford. And so the Moose found themselves down 1-0.
And we have a Palmer Lane Avalanche minute here, because the Avalanche have tied the game with Pittsburgh. For those who weren't watching earlier or listening earlier, the Avalanche were down 4-0 to the Penguins, and the Avalanche have tied it up. Nathan Hart Trophy McKinnon has tied it.
I think there's a reason why folks were not surprised that the Pittsburgh Penguins are not a playoff team, right, Ezzy? So here in Winnipeg, Atu Rate, who is playing, of course, with the Canucks organization after being traded there. He
slipped in the draft. Do you remember that, Dave?
What's that?
He slipped big time in the draft. Who did he go to? The Islanders?
Yeah, he was drafted by the Islanders.
Yeah.
And then, so he opens the scoring, doesn't beat Colin Delia with a particularly great goal. Nikita Chibrikov, speaking of Jets draft picks, it was a complete trio of Jets draft picks on the power play. Nikita Chibrikov actually was trying to get a shot towards Jeff Malott, who was in front where he usually is, but it hit the defender, went into the back of the Canucks net. Assist to Ville Heinola and Brad Lamberto. And with that assist, Brad Lambert tied Jack Roslovic and Brendan Stay out of my kitchen, 2 Jets draft picks, for 4th most points for a rookie on the Manitoba Moose with 48. So that was a nice play by them. But then I think it was about 2 minutes later, the Moose gave up another goal. So now it's 2-1, not a great one on Delia. Popped kind of up and over him, didn't know where it was. And then Arshdeep Baines, his 14th of the season, he puts it in behind Delia. So now it's 2-1. You're like, okay, that's not so great. Delia gets the hook. In comes Thomas Milic. Well, apparently the hook worked, because 20 seconds later, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, he gets his 10th of the year. Assist to Brad Lambert and Jeff Malott. Really nice play by Lambert. That's his 30th assist of the season, Ezzy, and he now is alone in 4th place all time, moving past Jack Roslovic and, as I said, Brendan Kitchen. So
I wonder, by the way, sorry, as an aside, this is my opportunity to sing the praises of Axel Jonsson-Fjällby. We know that the Jets have the expanded roster for the playoffs. I wonder if the Jets, get into some injury trouble, God forbid. I hope that the Jets stay healthy, but I mean, the way he's playing with the Moose, Dave, like, you wonder if he gets the call up and he gets into a game or two. I'm just saying, I like, you remember, do you remember how good that damn line was? The mad line, as we called it. It was, hold on, let me remember who it was. It was Morgan Barron, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, and Dominic Toninato, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's all I'm saying. I feel like, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, I just love the energy he brings on the 4th line. I'm just going to leave it at that.
No, I mean, look, he brings an element. There's no question about it. Sometimes you wonder if he's better off playing without a stick, but in the AHL, he's got it figured out right now, and he's a much more effective player for the Moose, and that's been a big part of their turnaround right now. Is his veteran sort of investment, if you will, on this team, and so. But really, this goal is mostly because of Brad Lambert and what he's able to do in the neutral zone. So he grabs a nice pass by Jeff Malott, goes attacks the Canucks, kind of has a little deceptive shot, deflects over to actually on some Fialbi, who puts it in. And like I said, as the 30th assist for Brad Lambert, he's got 19 goals, 30 assists, 49 points. So he moved ahead of Brendan Kitchton and Jack Roslovic for 4th all time. And he moves to 6 on the all-time points assist list for the Manitoba Moose rookies. So here's some trivia for the folks. There's 5 guys ahead of him, all Jets draft picks. Who are the 5?
Sorry, what was the question? I was posting comments here, Dave.
That's okay. The question is, so Brad Lambert, the 2022 first rounder, has 30 assists right now in 55 games for the Manitoba Moose. He's also got 19 goals. So with that 30 assists, he's in 6th place. Who are the 5 all Jets draft picks? But these are 5 Moose rookies. So in theory, sometimes they don't.
Is the question which rookies have had more assists than Brad Lambert? Is that the question?
That's the question.
So you mentioned Jack Roslovic earlier.
Yep.
Right, and Kyle Connor.
Nope, not Connor.
Mason Appleton.
Mason Appleton.
Is it all forwards or is it defensemen too?
Defensemen too. 2 defensemen.
Would it be Josh Morrissey?
Nope.
Sammy Niku?
Sammy Niku.
I'm not doing bad here.
Oh, you're doing good.
I mean, I'm also getting some wrong.
That's fine.
Wrong answers here too, but I think I only have 1 left, right?
Yeah.
Or do I have 2 left?
You got 2 left.
Ooh. All Jets draft picks. Who am
one
I
of them
missing here?
One of them I did just mention. That Lambert went ahead. I'll give you a clue. Lambert went ahead of this player. I said that he went ahead of this player for I said stay out of my.
Oh, Brendan Kitchton, former St. John's Ice Cap, Dave. I like it.
So
yeah,
Brendan Kitchton,
Roslovic, Kitchton, Mason Appleton,
and Sammy Niku. But you got one
Sammy
more.
Niku. Oh, one more.
No,
all first round draft picks. Who am I?
No, I never said first round because Niku was a.
Sure, but I said Sammy Niku. So isn't that 5?
No, you said Appleton, Niku, Roslovic, and Kitchen. That's 4.
Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing somebody pretty obvious here.
No, it's I see. I don't think of him as like a offensive guru, but he I guess in his rookie season, 13-14, he was drafted in the 3rd round in the 13 season.
I'm drawing a blank here. 2013.
JC Lapon.
Oh, I was not getting that. Whoa. JC Lapon. You win, Dave. There's a reason why you're the Moose Insider. You could have given me another 10 minutes. I was not coming up with JC. I remember JC Lapon. He was tough. He used to fight.
Really tough.
He wasn't the biggest guy, but he was scrappy for sure.
Good dude from Saskatchewan. Saw him. He went overseas. He's playing in Europe, but I remember seeing him when he came back. He was visiting the team. Nice guy. Anyways, yeah. So that's a little trivia, a little fun Moose trivia here to close out the show. Well, as 3 shows in 2 days, it's been a lot. But hey, you know what? This is what we do.
I'm going to bed when I get home, by the way. I think people have seen.
Well, you need some hydration. You need some water.
I got to pass those stones. I got to, get better here. Maybe pop a couple more Dayquil. And then we have a big post-game show coming up Tuesday night, Dave.
There you go. So that's what you folks have to look forward to. Of course, between now and Tuesday night, head on over to our YouTube channel. If you didn't catch the whole thing live, you can watch the replay, of course, immediately. I will have this podcast available for download shortly thereafter, once I hit the end live on this show. And of course, for the next few days before there's a Jets game, we'll have all the latest Jets and Moose news on a little site called illegalcurve.com.
I've really enjoyed Drew's contributions on the post-game shows this weekend. I got to say,
absolutely.
I think Drew's been fantastic.
I think he's going to be
great. This is some of his best work of the year.
I think he's going to be really good next week when he's also not on the show. But hey,
Rob Mahoney had a funny comment earlier. What are the top 10 reasons why you dislike Drew? I think, Rob, you got to make that like a top 50 or maybe even top 100 list.
Anyways, thanks all of you for joining us once again. Let's get Frosty. I almost ended the show before we gave a thanks to all of our sponsors. So if Frosty can put that up in the chat, we'll see if he can. If not, I can do it. I don't really need that. I just like it when Frosty does it. But look, big thank you to all of the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website, illegalcurve.com, a possibility. And they are, in no particular order, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Grid Park. Use code Illegal Curve to park for free. And reminder, starting in our social media, probably Instagram, we're going to be giving away free parking for the remaining Jets home games. So if you want to win free parking to the Oilers game, courtesy of our friends at Grid Park, make sure you're paying attention to our social media. Make sure you're follow us, follow Grid Park, and we'll maybe hook up one of you with free parking for the game on Tuesday and the game on Thursday and the game on Saturday. Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, and Farmery Beer. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. All right, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm Dave Minuk. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Oh, hold on, Frosty, better late than never, Frosty. There we go.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Charlie Horse, for saying we kicked butt this weekend. We hope everyone enjoyed being with us, and we always appreciate your willingness to spend some time with us here on our various shows on the Illegal Curve channel. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday and the rest of your weekend. Tomorrow's the day off for the Jets and the Moose, but we'll still have content, like I said, on illegalcurve.com. And then we will see all of you after the game around 9:40 p.m. Tuesday night, Jets and Oilers. We'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.